Hello, everybody. How are you doing? All right, one quick thing I want to discuss about y'all real quick. Hang on, real quick.
Gotta put a good dip in first.
Oh yeah, man. All right. So, one thing I want to talk about. In our last video, we went on and we said how they need stricter. How a lot of people are going to say stricter gun laws. Now, I'm not sure how familiar y'all are with Northern Kentucky, but there's a school up here called Simon Kenton, and nationwide, a lot of people at, what was it, 10? I don't know, it was at noon, 12 o'clock, went out and started walking. So, they went out, they did walking, and at first it was supposed to commemorate the 17 people who died and the teachers who died to protect the students, which I thought was all good and dandy. I supported it 110%, and that's what I was going to go do. I was going to go out there, walk, stand by the flagpole, do a moment of silence for the people. Well, until one bold son of a bitch decided to stand out in front of the school and talk about stricter gun laws. What the hell are you doing? Stricter gun laws, oh my god. Alright. One, you know that Chicago, Detroit, help me out here, Trevor.
650 deaths last year in Chicago from guns.
That's just Chicago alone.
That's just Chicago. 650.
Alright, so you got Chicago, Detroit, Philly,
Baltimore, Washington.
Yeah, Baltimore. Okay, those five. So you take away those 5 states right now, the U.S. is at the top 3 of the most kills with a gun in the world. You take away those 5 cities, the U.S. drops down to the 4th. You want to know something? Those have the most restricted gun laws in the whole U.S. You know how hard it is to get a gun in freaking New York or Chicago or Baltimore, D.C.? I mean, hell, I can't even tell you. Oh, fuck D.C. Great city. However, I'm not a fan of the people. I had a bad experience at D.C. Trevor knows about that. It was a bad experience. But,
And get concealed carry in New York. They make it impossible.
So Trump, he's trying to make something to where where teachers are allowed to carry. This is something I proposed in 10th grade, and they're just now making it a big deal.
And in Kentucky, there's a school that's allowing that now, isn't there?
Marshall County. Marshall County in western Kentucky.
Yeah. And so many people have problems with this. It makes no sense what's wrong with it. So, yeah, I mean, everyone has a problem with crazy maniac lunatics going in and shooting up schools, having guns.
But if you got a gun to stop a gun.
But you have level-headed teachers who are willing to carry and protect students, and that's a problem now? Look, the crazy lunatics, they don't care about your feelings. They're going to come anyway.
Hey, you want to know the funny thing? Trump made a really good point. He said a gun-free zone is like ice cream. Going in for the ice cream for a killer.
The sign doesn't have a force field that just magically envelops a school, like in some Star Wars movie,
yeah,
where it keeps the guns out. Until we have that technology, I don't think these gun-free zone signs are really going to work.
Basically, when someone sees a gun-free zone, they're like, oh, they're unarmed. No one's going to be shooting a gun at me. No one's going to be pointing a gun in the other direction. In Marshall County, like Trevor was just talking about, a teacher actually proposed teaching other teachers on how to carry a gun, how to use it, and do a safety course class. He said that he can take up to 50 people. 150 people volunteered for the job. So what is it, like 300? 300.
I've seen stories, all sorts of where sheriffs of of counties, they offer these classes for teachers. The classes get filled up right away because there's an interest in trying to protect students, doing it the best way possible, which is actually protecting. If you get my drift,
Yeah.
you protect against a bad guy with a gun, with a good guy with a gun. It's like a positive and a negative.
If you're a student in high school and you're watching this, keep in mind that those teachers, they're not just there to teach. They're not just there to. They're there to one reason. They're there to protect you. A high school coach actually stood in front of the unarmed gunman and died protecting students because he shielded them from the bullets. Whether you think your teacher likes you,
And I bet that guy, he would have wished he would have had a gun.
one of the funny thing, he actually had a concealed carry permit.
Really.
Yeah, but they wouldn't allow him bring the gun in.
Figures. And because he's law abiding, he won't. But guess what? The crazy maniac isn't going to abide by the law that you create to stop them because they want to murder, which is already illegal.
Yeah.
Logic.
And something that really
Another question. When's the last time you've heard of a mass shooting at gun show? When's the last time you've heard of a mass shooting at a police station?
When was Hillary elected?
But guess what? You've actually you've heard of one happening like at a recruitment center or military base because they don't let them carry guns there. How insane is that? The Army recruiter, Marines recruiter can't carry at a recruiting station?
Yeah. Because, okay, I actually got into a debate with a woman on Facebook, and I don't care if you like Facebook or not. I use it, just because. I use it to keep in a lot of contact with a lot of people. But somebody told me, they're like, man, we need metal detectors in the schools. I'll keep the guns out. Okay, well, because that works so good for Paris. Actually, most of Europe, metal detectors. The train station, that was in London, wasn't it? The train station explosion, where two gunmen came in, two ISIS people came in and blew themselves up in a train station.
Well, here's the thing. While class is in session, the crazy maniac can just run on in. The metal detector's not going to stop him. He can still run through the metal detector with a gun. So what if it's an alarm? It's an alarm system. Alarm systems don't actually physically stop anyone. They alert people. You still need people with guns, enforcing the metal detector that you can't go through it with a gun.
I mean, one of my teachers, he offered to teach me, he offered to show me a concealed carry class. He offered to take me through the class and everything. So he told me, he said, when he was in class one day, he's like, what would you do? Somebody said, I forget what the question was. He's like, what would you do if I held a gun to your head? And I told you had to choose between this and this. He looked at him dead in the eye, and he said, I'd have that thing disassembled and placed in front of you before you can even pull the trigger. Those are the kind of teachers that we need. Those are the type of people that should be carrying the guns in school. But no, you got people who are uncomfortable sending their kids to school with a concealed permit because they're afraid that they're going to lash out on the students. When we have an SRO or a school resource officer.
So we trust these teachers to take care of our kids more so than even the parents do. The kids are with the teachers more than the parents. They trust them with their developing minds, so they can't be trusted if they're willing and they can prove that they're competent to protect them as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Why not? There are plenty of teachers. There are teachers who are former cops, former servicemen. What about them? They've already proven their competence, and then some.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You could at least start with them.
It's freaking stupid. I mean, in 2018, if this chart that I read was accurate, it said that 337,000 was it for abortions? I think that's what it said.
It was really high. I mean, I know there's been 50 million abortions so far in the United States total since this began.
So 337. You know how many people killed by guns? 1,000 compared to 337,000.
Most of them are suicides, most of the gun deaths. And it's like if someone's gonna kill themselves, they'll do it many other ways than a gun.
Yeah, and the thing that really, like, I'm gonna retouch on this point. The thing that kind of made me upset was you got, all these people going out and making such a big deal about the, about the Florida shooting, which I'm not saying I'm not saying that it was not a big deal. I mean, it was. But we didn't do any of that for Sandy Hook. We didn't do any of that for any of the other school shootings down in Florida. We didn't do the one for the one down in Kentucky. We didn't do it for the one over in California. And if for every school, if we have the same passion that we did for what just happened this past week, and I'm not talking like, for anti-gun laws, but I'm talking like if we have what was intelligent compassion. I mean, they want stricter gun laws. Okay, all right, you want stricter gun laws, but